Hello friends, I am Professor Nisar Ahmed Khan from Department of Economics, Aligarh Muslim University. Today I'll talk about derivatives. What are derivatives and what purpose they serve? What are different types of derivatives? These are some of the questions that we will answer during my lecture. Derivatives are the product which derive its value from one or more than one variables under contractual condition. These one or more than one variables are maybe called as underlying assets, or they are rates, indices. Underlying assets, we may have commodities, we may have currency, we may have financial assets, as well as other type of assets. So basically derivatives derive its value from somewhere else. You must have heard about derived demand with reference to labor. There is a demand, for example, you have demand for tea. So tea is directly consumed and based on the utility, it is demanded. But as far as labor is concerned, labor is not directly consumed. Labor provides certain services, labor produces certain goods which are consumed. So the demand for labor is derived from the goods that labor produces. Demand for labor is derived from the services that labor provides. So more is the demand for those services, more will be the demand for labor. More is the demand for goods that labor produces, more will be the demand for labor. So the demand for labor is derived from the demand for goods that labor produces. Demand for labor is derived from the services that labor provides. So the demand for labor is a derived demand. So on the same pattern we have derivatives, that derivatives do not have any independent value. The value of the derivatives are derived from the underlying assets. These underlying assets may be physical assets, may be financial assets. Even we have rates as well as indices that also serve as underlying asset in case of derivatives. Now, what are different types of derivatives? Broadly speaking, we have derivatives are divided into two parts. On the hand, we have commodities. On the other hand, we have financial derivative. In the case of commodities derivative, the underlying assets are commodities, goods, and that's why we call them as commodity derivatives. In case of financial derivatives, the underlying assets are financial assets, and consequently these derivatives are called as financial derivatives. Now these financial derivatives are broadly speaking of four types: the forward contracts, futures contract, options, and we have swaps. We'll talk about all these: the forward contract, future contract, options, and swaps. First of all, I'll talk about forward contract. What are forward contracts? Forward contract is an agreement between two parties to buy or sell an underlying asset in a specified quantity at a specified date at a specified future. So everything is specified, and this contract is signed in present time, but the settlement, that is actual transaction, takes place in future. No payments are made in current time, no transaction takes place the current period, the transactions and settlement takes place in future. I'll give an example of forward contract that will perhaps clarify the meaning of a forward contract. Suppose there are two persons, A and B. A is a seller and B is a buyer. The product is apples. So A and B sign a contract. That contract is that A and B sign a contract, and as per this contract, A sign a contract to sell and of course A will sell to B to sell say 1000 kg of apples at a price of rupees 50 per kg on a specified date, that is 31st 12 2024. So here there is an agreement between A and B to sell, whereas A will sell apples to B. The quantity will be 1000 kg, the rate will be 50 rupees per kg, and date on which this transaction will take place, that is apples will be sold by A to B, 31st 12 2024. So this is a forward contract. Now this forward contract, in this forward contract A is selling. Now this, whatever may be the current price on 31st 12 2024 for A and B, the important price is rupees 50 per kg. This is the price at which A will sell apples to B. Now on this date the price may be different. That price that will prevail on 31st 12 2024, that price we call it as spot price. Spot price of apples. Spot price of apples mean the price of apples that will prevail on 31st 12 2024 in the market. So suppose the price that prevails on 31st 12 2024 is rupees 53 per kg. So in this case, the A who has signed a forward contract with B to sell 1000 kg apples at the rate of rupees 50 on 31st 12 2024, he has to sell at a rate of rupees 50, whereas in the market it is being sold at a rate of rupees 53 per kg on 31st 12 2024, that is the day of settlement when the forward contract will mature. So the seller here will have a loss, and the loss will be of rupees 3 per kg, because had he not sold 1000 kg apples at the rate of rupees 50 per kg, that is, had he not signed this forward contract, then he had the opportunity to sell the same apples on 31st 12 2024 at a rate of rupees 53 per kg. So there are both possibilities that a seller or a buyer in case of forward contract may have losses, may have gain. That is possible. But the question is, what purpose this forward contract serves? So one purpose is very much clear from this example. In fact, there are three types of people who operate in the derivative market. These three types of people are speculators, and hedgers, and arbitrageurs. Speculators, hedgers, and arbitrager. Suppose A, B is a speculator. B knows, it is his prediction, that the price of Apple on 31st 12 2024 will be 53. This is his prediction. This is what he thinks regarding the price that will prevail on 31st 12 2024. So, if his prediction is correct, then and he signs this forward contract to purchase apples from A at a rate of rupees 50 per kg, equal to the amount of 1000 kg on 31st 12 2024. If he signs this contract, he will have an opportunity to earn rupees 3 per kg. What will happen that he will buy the apples from A at the rate of rupees 50 as per the forward contract, and the same apples he will sell in the market, spot market, that is in the current market, on 31st 12 2024 at a rate of rupees 53 and earn rupees 3 per kg. So in fact, what we will say, we will ask A that you don't supply me apples, just give me 3000 rupees. That is the difference amount. I'll be satisfied and the settlement will be done. So one type of persons who operate in the derivative market are speculators. They want to take advantage of the difference in the forward rate and spot rate and make money. Then there is another type of people who operate in the derivative market or forward market, and these people are known as hedgers. So, hedging means protecting against the risk. That a hedger always try to avoid the risk, try to protect him or her from the risk. So therefore, let us say that there is an importer, and importer faces the risk of fluctuation in the foreign exchange. So how the importer can avoid this risk arising from the fluctuation in foreign exchange? By signing a forward contract. So let's have an example again to explain that how a hedger can protect protect himself by signing a forward contract. Say, suppose there is an importer from India. Importer is from India, and he has signed an agreement with an American firm to buy a machine, from USA at the price of the machine is 1 lakh dollar. This is the price of the machine. But the American firm says that, okay, I'll supply you machine, but I will take time. It is not possible to supply the machine immediately, because I have to manufacture this machine as per your specification, as per your requirement, and it will take me 90 days. I'll be in a position to supply this machine in 90 days. And you will make payment only when you will receive this machine. That is, after 90 days, when you will receive machine, you should make the payment. Check the quality of the machine, check that it is as per your specification, and then you make the payment. So, as per the dollar rate of when this contract is signed, agreement is signed between the importer from India and the exporter from USA, at that time, suppose the rate of dollar and rupee was that rupees 85 was equal to $1. This was the rate when this agreement was signed. Now, as per this rate, if this rate remains same even for 90 days, then it means that at the time of import, the importer has to arrange rupees 85 lakhs for importing the machine. So when he will arrange rupees 85 lakhs for importing the machine, this amount is needed for getting $1 lakh with which machine will be imported. But there is no guarantee that exchange rate will remain same. Exchange rate keep on fluctuating, especially in countries where there is a flexible exchange rate. And in India also we have a flexible exchange, managed float exchange rate, or to some extent a flexible exchange rate. So exchange rate may fluctuate, exchange rate may become more than 85 rupees per dollar, maybe less than rupees 85 per dollar, but there is a risk. Now the importer is already taking a number of risks because the business of import is quite risky, and then the production, as a producer, the importer is also a producer, and the importer in production he is already taking a lot of risk, and he is not in a position to take additional risk arising due to fluctuation in foreign exchange. So he wants to protect himself from the fluctuation in foreign exchange. And there is one simple way, that he should buy dollar from the forward market. So he contact a bank, and the bank is ready to sign a 90 days forward contract, 90 days forward contract. And in this forward contract, the bank is willing to supply dollar at the rate of $1 equal to rupees 87. Bank says, okay, if you want, after 90 days, I can give you $1 lakh at the rate of $1 equal to 87 rupees. So, if the importer signs this forward contract with the bank, then importer knows that he is now required to arrange 87 lakh rupees for getting $1 lakh. Now there is no uncertainty. Whatever may be the rate prevailing after 90 days, when he will require $1 lakh, in all cases, he is supposed to make arrangement for 87 lakh rupees, and that will purchase him $1 lakh as per the forward contract signed by him with the bank, in which he has purchased a 90 days forward contract where $1 is equal to 87 rupees. So in this way, the fluctuation in the foreign exchange will have no impact on the importer. So importer is now fully protected against the fluctuation in foreign exchange. So this is how an importer by signing a forward contract can protect himself against the fluctuation in foreign exchange. Similarly, the forward contract can also be signed by others to protect themselves from the fluctuations in the market. Now we have arbitrageurs, the third type of people who operate in this forward in the derivative market and in all the segments of the derivative market, that is forward contract, forward market, futures market, options market. Everywhere these arbitrageurs, speculators and hedgers, they operate. So arbitrager basically take advantage of the difference in the rate in the two markets. So if there is a difference in the forward rate in India and in USA, there is a difference in the spot rate in India and in USA, the arbitrator take advantage of that, will buy from the market where rate is lower and sell in the market where rate is higher and thus making money. But in the process, arbitrator equalize the rates in different markets. So these are the three types of entities that operate and participate in this derivative markets. Besides, there are others who also may participate in this derivative market, but these are the three important entities that participate in the forward market. Now, these forward markets, forward contracts rather, are highly customized. That is, you can sign any type of contract, forward contract at any place and at any time, even during midnight, or at any time you can sign this forward contract. Contrary to that, we have a futures contract. Futures contract are also like forward contract, but the main difference between the futures contract and forward contract is that futures contract are standardized. Everything is standardized. You cannot change it through negotiation. So, in case of futures contract, the quantity is standardized. For example, if one future is of 1000 kg, one future is of 1000 kg, then you cannot buy, you cannot purchase 900 kg or 950 kg or 1100 kg. That is not possible. That is, the value of one future is of 1000 kg, so you have to purchase 1000 kg. You can purchase one future, you can purchase two futures, you can purchase three futures, four futures, that is 2 means you can purchase have 2000 kg, 3 means you can have 3000 kg, but this will not be adjusted. Same is the maturity period. If the futures are maturing on a particular date, you have to accept it. The date cannot be changed according to your requirements. So, everything in the case of futures are standardized. The maturity period is standardized, the quantity is standardized, the price is standardized. So, unlike the forward contract, futures contract may be defined as standardized forward contract. The difference between the forward contract and futures contract may be explained with the help of an example. You see, in the market, you may have two types of rice, the packed rice and unpacked rice. In the case of unpacked rice, you can purchase any amount. You can have 200 gram, 300 gram, 500 gram or 1 kg, 100 gram, whatever you want, you can buy. And the quality, whatever shopkeeper says, you have to accept because there is nothing is written. And the weight, when the shopkeeper, measure or weigh the rice, then if you come to your house and again weigh, you find that it is less, then you can't do anything, because if you go to the shopkeeper will say that you have changed some amount you have taken, or maybe during transition some amount might have fell down and consequently the weight is less. So I am not at fault. But and the quality, the date of manufacturing packing, nothing is clear in case of unpacked rice. Contrary to that, in case of packed rice, everything is standardized. The packet is suppose of 5 kg, then you have to purchase 5 kg. You cannot ask for 2.5 kg because then the shopkeeper has to open the pack and that shopkeeper is not going to do. So you have to accept 5 kg. The price is written. So the quality is also written what type rice it is. The quantity is also written. So even if a child goes to buy the rice, the packed rice, there is no question of any cheating. He will also bring the same rice. Whereas in case of unpacked rice, if a child goes, the shopkeeper may cheat, taking advantage that the child is immature and let us cheat him and supply an inferior quality of rice, saying that I am supplying a good quality of rice. So the rice may be same, the unpacked rice and packed rice may be same, but the basic difference is that in case of packed rice, things are standardized. Things are, quite transparent, but whereas in the case of unpacked rice, nothing is transparent, nothing is clear. So, futures contract are standardized forward contract. Now, unlike forward contracts which can be signed anywhere at any place, even on road you can sign a forward contract, the futures contract cannot be signed like this. Future contracts are signed in the stock exchanges in a place called pits, and in the pits the broker sits face to face and they sign the futures contract, and this trading takes place in the given hour that they are designated business hour, and during that the trading takes place regarding the futures. So you cannot sign the futures contract anywhere. Futures contract has to be signed at a designated place, at a formal place, and there are formal rules for doing so. Whereas in case of forward contract, it may be customized as per your requirement, as per your need, and it may be signed at any place. Then in the case of futures contract, there is a clearing house also. There is a clearing house. Whereas in the case of forward contract, there is no clearing house. You may ask, what is the job of clearing house? The clearing house, for example, in India, we have Clearing Corporation of India that perform this task. The clearing house stands between the buyer of the future and seller of the future. That once buyer and seller have finalized the contract, then what will happen that how there will be clearing house and the buyer, suppose there is a buyer here and there is a seller here. Now the buyer will not buy the futures from the seller directly, or seller will not sell the futures to the buyer directly. What will actually happen? The seller will sell the futures to the clearing house and buyer will buy the futures from the clearing house. So the transaction will not take place directly between the seller of the futures and buyer of the future. Rather, the transaction will take place, trading will take place through a clearing house. And the clearing house, a margin has to be deposited, not only by seller but also by buyer. Margin is a percentage of the total value of the futures. For example, that percentage may be, say, for example, 5%, that may be 4%, that may be 3%, anything that is decided by the clearing house or the stock exchange that decides that this will be the percentage. This is the margin money. Now, this margin money has to be deposited by the seller and also by the buyer. Once margin money is deposited, then deal is finalized and treated as final. But if they do not deposit margin money, only only agree to buy and sell futures, but they do not deposit margin money, then deal is cancelled. So in the case of, but What is this margin money? Margin money is simply a caution money. That is, this business is quite risky because here you are buying and selling something in future, but the agreement is signed in the current period. So that's why it's very future. In order to ensure that you will do what you have agreed upon, it is important that they should deposit some caution money, which is in the form of margin money, which ensure that on the day of settlement, actual transaction will take place and they will settle it either by equivalent transaction or they may settle it by any other method. That is by actual delivery, they may also settle it. So this clearing house is very, very important because in the case of forward market, there is no clearing house. The forward market, only we have the buyer and seller. Clearing house is not present at all. Besides that, in the case of pits and clearing house, there is also, you see, that marking to the market. Marking to the market. Marking to the market, I'll not explain in detail because it will take time. Marking to the market is a mechanism where the rates are compared with the spot rates and the difference amount is either deposited in the margin money or subtracted from the margin money. Consequently, the margin money keep on fluctuating, and this, if the margin money falls below a particular level, then they have to deposit additional amount that is known as maintenance margin money. They have to deposit in order to maintain the margin money. Now this margin money is returned on the date of maturity. The clearing house doesn't keep the margin money, it is just a caution money. So the futures contract are quite formal. The futures contract are quite standardized and formal, and in the case of futures contract, the value of one future is quite large, whereas in the case of forward contract, the value or quantity may be very, very small. As per the convenience of buyer and seller, the things can be customized and adjusted, but there is no such provision in case of futures. Then we come to the options. Options are different type of product. Here, in the case of option, the option buyer gets the right, not obligation, to buy or sell underlying asset as per his convenience. If he thinks that buying is favorable, he may buy it, and if he thinks that buying is not favorable, he may ignore. That is the option given to the option holder or the option buyer. Let us have an example of option, and that will perhaps clarify what the options are all about. Suppose we take the forward contract example, that here we have the two parties A and B, and they are, A is seller and B is a buyer. A is a seller and B is a buyer, and A is selling apples. This is the underlying commodity, apples. Now the forward contract is signed that suppose it is 1000 kg and rupees 50 per kg, and the maturity date is 31/12/2024. So this is a forward contract. I told you just now that, as per this contract, A has agreed to sell 1000 kg apples to Mr. B at the rate of rupees 50 on the date 31/12/2024. But then the question is, what will be the spot price? That is the price prevailing on the day of maturity. If the price prevailing on the day of maturity is rupees 53 per kg, then seller may think that if I had opportunity, I will ignore this, because here if I honor this forward contract, I have to sell 1000 kg apples in rupees 50 per kg, whereas if I don't honor this forward contract, I can sell the same apples at a rate of rupees 53 per kg in the market, because this is the price that is prevailing on the day of maturity. Now, this, if an option is given to the buyer, suppose I have purchased this option. This is the option. Option is given, and this is an option. And this option, there is a option seller. We call the option seller as option writer. And there is a option buyer. So the buyer has purchased this option. If the buyer has purchased this option, it means this buyer has the right either to sell the commodity at this rate or ignore it. Naturally, if the buyer finds that selling the commodity is profitable, he will sell and exercise the option. And if he thinks that selling is not profitable because in the spot market rate is higher and I can sell there, then he will ignore. He will try to ignore it, and he will ignore it. So, if the buyer gets this option that either you sell or you don't sell, but in both cases, you have to pay a premium. That is, either you sell or you don't sell, you have to pay a premium. Suppose the premium is decided by the seller of the option or the option writer. The premium is rupees 2 per kg. This is the premium. So it means if you have purchased this option, then whether you exercise this option, that is, whether you sell the underlying asset or you don't sell the underlying asset, it is totally your right. But then in both cases, you have to pay the premium of rupees 2 per kg. This premium of rupees 2 per kg will go to the seller of the option or option writer. Now, if suppose you earn profit, then whatever is the profit earned by the buyer, it is the loss of the seller. And whatever is the earned by the seller, that is a loss for the buyer, because there are only two parties. So in the case of option, the option buyer get right, it is not the obligation, get the right to sell or buy the underlying assets as per the things turns out. That if he think that it is favorable, he will exercise the option, and if he think that it is not favorable, he will not exercise the option. Now, these options are of two types. There are two types of options. And we have put option. I will write both the call option. In the call option, the buyer of the option purchased the underlying asset. So, here, suppose this is the option, that is, the option is purchase 1000 kg of apples at a rate rupees 50 per kg on 31st/12/2024. So, the option buyer. The buyer of the option has purchased this option. In the call option, the buyer of the option purchased the underlying asset or underlying commodity. Here the underlying commodity is apple. So the buyer of the asset is purchasing underlying commodity. This is called as call option. In the case of put option, the buyer of the option, that is again we have give here sell 1000 kg apples at a rate of rupees 50 per kg on 31st 12 2024. This is the buyer. So this is an example of call option. This is an example of put option. The only difference is that in the call option, the buyer of the option purchase the underlying commodity. That is, the commodity here is apple, and that is being purchased by the buyer of the option at a rate of rupees 50 on 31st 12 2024. Now the buyer has the option either to purchase or ignore. Similarly, in the case of put option, the buyer of the option is selling the underlying commodity, and that is apple. The buyer has the option to sell 1000 kg apples at the rate of rupees 50 on 31st 12 2024 or ignore it. But in both cases, the buyer has to pay the premium. Suppose the premium in both cases is like this. The premium is rupees 2 per kg. This is the premium that has to be paid by the buyer of the option, whether he exercises the option or he doesn't exercise the option. Whether in case of call option, the buyer has to pay the premium. In case of put option also, the buyer has to pay the premium, irrespective of the fact whether the buyer of the option exercise the option or doesn't exercise the option. Now, the option is designed by the seller, and that's why the seller of the option is known as writer. So this option seller comes out with new types of option to attract the buyers. Now, how to calculate the profit? You know, this price is known as strike price, and we denote this strike price by X. This is the strike price, X. That strike price is the price that is written on the option, that is agreed. That is agreed, between the parties, and that will be, valid on the date of maturity when the option will be exercised. So this is the strike price. Now there is a spot price. Spot price is the price of the apple that will prevail in the market on 31st 12 2024. This spot price we denote it by S. So in case here he is purchasing, so when this owner of the call option, the buyer of the call option, when he will earn the profit he will earn when the price here written, that is written on the option rupees 50, is less than the price prevailing in the market. Suppose price prevailing in the market is rupees 55 per kg. So in this case, it means that if he purchase at the current price on 31st 12 2024, he will have to pay 55 rupees per kg for the apples. Whereas if he exercise the option, he can buy 1000 kg apples at the rate of rupees 50 per kg. So he'll have a profit of rupees 5. But that is not the profit. The premium has to be paid, whether the option is exercised or option is not exercised. So the gain to the call option, the gain, how will you calculate the gain to the call option holder? The gain is the spot price minus the strike price minus the premium denoted by P, and then this multiplied by the quantity, and that is 1000. So in this case, if everything is given here, the spot price is 55. So 55 minus 50, it will be 5 minus 2, it will be 3. 3 multiplied by 3000. So 3000 will be the gain of the option buyer. Similarly, in this case, in the case of put option, the gain will be calculated in a different way, because here the option buyer is not purchasing the underlying commodity, option buyer is selling the underlying commodity. So in which situation he will have the gain? That is, if the price, the spot price, suppose spot price of the apple is rupees 45 per kg. This is the price prevailing in the market. Suppose on 31st, it is rupees 45 per kg. This is the price, rupees 45 per kg. So this price means that if the option buyer sells the apple at this price, he will get rupees 50 per kg, whereas if he sell at the current price, that is prevailing on 31st 12 2024, on the date of maturity, he will get only 45 rupees per kg. So the gain here, the gain will be here, will be equal to, it will be x minus s minus p multiplied by 1000. That is 1000, this is the gain. And in this case, the gain is that x is this price, it is 50 minus s, that is 45, 5 minus 2. Again, the gain is 3000 rupees to the put option, to the buyer of the put option. So, this is how we calculate the gain and loss of the option holder or option buyer. Now there is a fourth type of derivatives. We told you about the forward contracts, we told you about the futures contract, and also told about the options. There is a fourth type of derivative. We say these are swaps. Swaps are the written agreement between two parties to exchange the cash flow or liabilities of two financial instruments as per the agreed formula. So basically here the cash flows, the resulting from the financial instrument in future, are the liabilities in future of the financial instrument. These are being exchanged as per the predetermined formula between the two parties, and these are called as swaps. So this is the fourth type of derivative. So we have talked about all these four types of derivative: forward contract, futures contract, options, and swaps. Thank you very much.